Hello, welcome back to Bald and Board Games. I'm Bald.
I'm bored.
And we're bringing you a review of Bot Factory by Vital Lacerda.
Yes, we have done our rankings video already, so check that out. Posted before this. If you're wondering how both Bald and I went through the 8 Vital Lacerda games and ranked them 1 to 8. Now we're going to go through each one, talk about them individually through our 5 categories like normal, and see exactly what numbers we came up with, because we don't know yet.
We don't.
We just know where they are ranked. We don't know if we have the same numbers at all, or if one of us thinks it's must play, one doesn't.
That is true. Yeah.
Which for one of these, some of the, because we have two of our 4 bottom 4s are the same.
Yep.
So they could be not plays or hate plays or don't plays, never plays. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. What did we decide on? Don't play? Don't play.
Don't play.
Right? Yeah. Okay. So first up, like always, is the rule book. And I guess we'll cover the 5 categories for you as well. If this is your first video you've watched with us. We're going to cover 5 different categories. For some games, we do 6, but this has no stories. So we're not going to do stories. So the 5 categories that we're going to be covering and rating are rulebook, gameplay, components, design, storage, and then we take the average of all of those to give us our final rating individually. And we will average each of those ratings and the final one to get the official Bald and Board Games rating for each of those sections. And at the end of this video, just like all the rest, there will be a card that shows you what those ratings are.
Yep.
Alrighty. Rulebook.
Yeah, rulebook. I gave this a 5, which Vital Lacerda overall does pretty well with the rulebooks.
Yep.
So giving it a 5 is not like amazing praise, because a lot of these I think are 5 versus rulebook. My main call out is on the game board, you have 4 boards. Each one has different actions. They are super well laid out in the rulebook.
Oh, yeah.
It literally calls out each board, gives you pictures and everything that can happen on those boards. It's nicely colored. It's not just bland. So I called that out. You have Sandra's actions explained right up front on exactly what she's going to do, and then on each board it's explained as well.
Yep.
This is one of the few games where usually I call out, we should have a player aid. That would make it easier. Didn't really need one on here. On the game board itself is explained. The rulebook explains everything.
It's true. Yeah. I gave it a 5 as well. Again, Vital Lacerda does a very good job using diagrams in all of his rulebooks for the areas, which helps eliminate some of the confusion. And I think what helped with this one is that it is a very simple game, and the rulebook is very skinny, so it reads very, very quick. It's also very easy to understand, and that is enough for me. Easy to understand, easy to track, easy to go back in and find references for rules if you need to. 5 it is.
Yeah, we did call out in the last video that this is, out of the 8, the simplest Vital Lacerda game to play.
Yeah.
There's a lot of these are very resource heavy, very strategy heavy, which definitely makes a thicker rulebook.
Yep.
So it makes sense that this is skinny, but as we both agree, it did exactly what it needed to do.
Yep. It's right to the point. Alrighty.
Gameplay.
Gameplay. I gave a 3 for gameplay on this one. And the 3 was given for a reason that you mentioned in the rankings video, but because there are so limited spaces to actually do things, especially if you're playing with 1 to 2 players, to where it's very easy to block someone from doing anything and to continually block them from doing something, to where it can get frustrating, you know? And there's a lot of kind of chance involved with this wheel aspect to it as well. And like over here, when you're making robots, the last person to put the part on is the one who technically made the robot, and you made 2 of the 3.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of things in the gameplay that are maybe too simple to where it's easy for someone who's trying to just, hate draft, spots, which is a valid thing to do. But what makes that fun, if you do that, is having another option to potentially do something else to try and counteract someone's, hate play.
Yeah.
And if you can't do that, it just becomes frustrating once one person just kind of slips ahead and they can just kind of stay there.
Yeah. So same ranking, 3. Exact same reasons. Guys, I called on the ratings video or rankings video.
Yep.
Where there was one of our playthroughs. We actually played this one twice because it was a quick enough game. It was like a 45-minute to an hour game.
Yep.
And yeah, it's super easy if you are, especially a strategy player from these other games, to be like, exactly what can I do like 3 steps from now to just shut down your opponent completely, especially in a 2-player game. Because Sandra's moving across the board, taking up spots, so you know exactly where she's going to move. and you can just kind of track that and just counter everything.
Yep.
So it's fun at first when you're winning, but then it's like, okay, this is boring now because one of us is winning, one's losing. There's no like enjoyment of like the back and forth edge anymore.
Yeah, it's incredibly difficult to kind of catch up or try to take that lead back, and then it just becomes unenjoyable for kind of both parties. I would feel like the person in the lead probably gets bored because they're like,
Yeah.
I just keep doing this on autopilot.
And I think a major factor of that is on all of these, there's a lot of bonuses.
Mm-hmm.
So because this game is so simple, if you take out the bonuses, it might actually be more balanced.
Maybe.
But like you have this board here, if you put tiles on any of these, oh, you get a bonus thing. If you use this, you can get a bonus thing.
Mm-hmm.
And they're all over the place.
Yep.
So there's a lot of ability for mini combos, but that might be too overwhelming for one player if they just hit it in a perfect order.
Yep. I agree. All right. The components are next. And so the components, just so you all know if you've been watching our videos yet, it's not the look of the components, it's specifically how well the components are made.
Yes.
And what they are.
Yeah. So because of the simplicity of the game, that weighed into my opinion here on the components.
Mm-hmm.
If this was a more complex game, this rating would have been way lower.
Mm.
But I gave this a 4.
Mm-hmm.
I think overall, you do have miniatures, decent wooden figures that'll move around the board.
Yep.
They do have plenty of little things. These are decent things, but cardboard, simplistic. My main call out, which you called out already, is you have a robot here that if you construct it, whoever finishes the construction gets it. I wish this was 3 different pieces. Where like, as soon as you put one down, you got the bottom. And then it didn't matter if in that row you finished it then, or whenever you finished it, you just have to get the 3 pieces together.
So you're trying to like construct robots on, instead of being like on a line like this specifically, you're trying to construct them kind of off the board just by collecting the parts that maybe would.
Yeah, but and as soon as 3 are put here, then those 3 tiles disappear. But then you can put the next one down.
Right.
So like layout would still be the same.
Stop you from building your robot by putting a head here for themselves.
But then you can get it later.
Yeah.
So I definitely think that would balance a little bit better. So that's one thing on the components, but everything else, it's simple wooden features. The blueprints are pretty simple. It's just kind of the same thing over and over again. So that's why I never got a 5, but it did the job it needed to do for how simple this game is.
Yeah, the game is very simple, but I did give it a 5 for components because they did go that extra mile to make these, wooden and shaped like little workers and had the silk screen to make them look like workers instead of just having a regular meeple. Sandra looks distinctly different.
Like an administrator.
This little guy here, which is a specialized robot you can get, looks like Baymax. He looks distinctly different. They could have easily just had him like this, blank, but they did the silk screening. There's a solo version of the game that uses this guy. They have these nice like little acrylic pieces for the part of the board over there. The robots, the fact that they actually have, wooden robots that are all different as well factored in. Then these cardboard tiles, I don't mind because I prefer them to have these cardboard tiles instead of just having cards.
Oh, I agree.
I think that the fact that they have these cardboard tiles does add a more tangible thing you can actually pick up and hold. Like, it feels like you have a piece of the head like that. I think, to your point, though, what would have been cool is if you actually just had like pieces of heads.
Yeah, exactly.
As well, which would have been great.
That was the only docking I had.
Yeah.
It's mostly that.
So, for how it plays, I give it a 5 for the components that it has.
All right. Design of everything.
So, the design of this, I gave a 4. And the reason being is it is a simple game, but the look of it is almost too simplistic for me. There's parts that I really enjoy design-wise. This is a component thing, but it's actually factored into my 5 is a spinning track for components. But a lot of this, I went back and forth on a 4.5 to 5 or a 4 on this, but ultimately just settled on 4 because I would have liked to have seen, even though these are the same color, like maybe different looking robots and stuff, so have them all look the same. These are all very, simple little designs. And I think just the simplicity took a little bit out for me on the look of the design. But that was really it. It's a little too simple for my liking. I would have liked, at least because it's so simple, for there to be more variability.
Yep. My design, 3.5.
All right. I don't feel like a jerk anymore.
So the game board design I actually love. These all connect perfectly, and it makes one fluid thing, and it looks like rooms in a factory.
Yep.
So I do love that. Like, you have your conveyor belt and assembly line, your office work and whatnot. So I really like how they did the thing. To your point, these are stupidly simplistic, where it's like, oh, you have this little blueprint that has a blue guy on it, and wherever the blue parts are here, the blue parts just kind of match it. And I'm like, okay, that's really simple. There could have been like varieties of the blue one or something. There's no like little backstory, like, hey, what's this robot's name? No, I'm just kidding.
Man, Steve wants flavor text now. I'm rubbing off on Steve.
But I thought, in terms of the design of these components, like, yeah, I already docked it based on this simple cardboard, but yeah, it's just too basic to me in what these look like.
Yeah.
So that's why I got a 3.5.
Okay. Storage.
Yeah, final area, storage. So how everything fits in this box here.
Yep.
Again, because this is a simple game that weighs into my ranking, I gave this a 5. It's not just like a whole lineup where you stack all of them. Each color has its own slot. Same thing with the robots. Same thing with your player tokens. The game boards just stack on top of the rule book because they're all rectangular. But it met all the requirements needed for storage, because when these go on top here, it blocks anything else from flying around, which is game issues we have when stacking on a shelf.
And it came with a plastic insert that even goes on top of all that before the boards didn't go on, just for added, safety that's there.
It did perfect in what it needed to do.
I'd agree. I also gave this a 5, and for a lot of those same reasons. The verticality, being able to stack it that way, but the big thing for me is the section inside all that storage. So the fact, like you said, everything has a specific spot where everything can go to be separated, and this makes it easier to get out on the board. And a big plus that Vital does in all of his games is has your pieces, they can come right out if you want to keep them in this little tray. Simple, just like that.
Yep.
And this is stuff that you typically have to buy separate for other games. Someone made a specialized insert so you can get everything out on the board faster. But this is super quick. It's like, what color do you want? Here's purple. I'm taking blue. Put Sandra out, put your stacks out, and you're ready to go.
Yep.
So also a 5.
Perfect. And then we round out to our average. So the way our average works, a quick reminder, is we take the 5 categories we had, we add our numbers up, divide by 5, and then we round down to the nearest half decimal point.
Yep.
So like a 4.9 becomes a 4.5, and so on.
Alrighty. So my overall average for Bot Factory was a 4.
What's your sub-average? What was your actual number?
Oh, I don't know. I don't keep that written down. No.
I wrote all this down too, because I had to use it for the rankings.
Oh, yeah. I would just put back and double check, but no, yeah, it ended up being a 4.
All right. Mine is a 4 as well. Technically, it's just above a 4, but it rounded down to a 4. So, yeah. So, solid game. Again, simplistic, which caused a little, not confusion, but a little clunkiness. But overall, well played. I'd bring this back out as a quick, like, 45-minute game to play again.
Yeah. Alrighty. So, let's go through and we'll do the Baldwin board game averages for each area. So for rulebook, I gave it a 5. You gave it a 5. So of course, that means the rulebook for Baldwin board games is a 5.
Yeah.
For gameplay, I gave it a 3. You gave it what again? I forgot.
3 again.
A 3. So it comes out at an average of 3. For components, I gave it a 5. You gave it
4.
A 4. So we got a good 4.5 there.
Yep.
Boom. For design, I gave it a 4. You gave it a 3.5, right?
Yep. Rounds down to 3.5.
So it stays 3.5. For storage, I gave it a 5. You gave it a 5, right?
Yep.
So that puts it at a 5. All right. And then, of course, our overall average is 4.
Yep.
From 2 of us. Okay.
So that's the milestone mark so far is a 4. What's higher, what's lower?
Yeah.
We're about to find out.
We shall. But having a 4, which is above a 3, does make Bot Factory a Baldwin Board Games certified must-play.
Yes.
So if you're looking for a good family game in the theme of a Vital Lacerda game of sorts, this is a great family one. Easy to learn. I think kids could pick this up really easily. I wouldn't play this game with kids if you're Steve, because I know Steve wouldn't be able to stop himself from just stomping him into the ground with combos. So
They had to learn somehow.
that's true. All right, but if you've played Bot Factory, haven't played Bot Factory, whatever it is, leave us a comment below and let us know your thoughts. If you agree with us, if you disagree with us, if you absolutely hate Bot Factory, or if you absolutely love it. And then go over, if you haven't already, and watch our rankings video and tell us there too if we put Bot Factory into the wrong spot in our rankings. Love to hear from you.
Yeah.
All righty. It's Bald and Board Games doing a review of Bot Factory by Lacerda. I'm Bald.
On board.
We'll see you at the factory.